Hello, children. Today we are going to be talking about comparative versus superlative adjectives. Before I get started, I want to apologize if there's any noises. There may be. I've had to take this a couple times now because my animals are not very quiet. So, we're just going to soldier on through it, no matter what. So, to understand comparative and superlative adjectives, we first need to understand three things. 1, what's an adjective? 2, what does it mean for an adjective to be comparative or superlative? And 3, what types of, or how do I create the different comparative and superlative forms? This sounds complicated. It really isn't. So, I'm going to break this down into 3 easy to understand parts to help you out with it. Let's get started with part number 1. What is an adjective? An adjective, I shouldn't have erased this, but I did. An adjective is a word that describes a noun. So, noun is a person, place, or thing. Let's create a noun. Dog, because I'm looking at him. I'm looking at my dog right now. An adjective would be a word to describe the dog. How can we describe a dog? Think of a word that you can use to tell me something about a dog. You can say the dog is furry. You can say the dog is happy, fast, sad. Let's go with sad. Because he's pretty sad right now. Because I won't play with him all the time. Sad is our adjective. Sad describes a dog. Let's come up with another one. How about cat? What word could I use to describe the cat? How about small? Because he is kind of a small cat. Small describes cat. Now, usually your adjective is going to be right in front of your noun. I say usually because, as we all know, English likes to change the rules on you. But for now, we're going to pause, or we're going to keep with these types of adjectives. As you get better at English, you'll start to see other ones. Yes, you will. But for now, we're going to look with these. So, if we know that an adjective describes a noun, what does it mean to have a comparative versus superlative? Part 2. Comparative versus superlative. Now, let's look at one of them at a time. Comparative has a specific word in it that you guys might see. They've only changed one letter. Can you see it? Look a little harder. I think some of you are getting it. Ah, yes. Compare. Because that's what we're doing. We're comparing. when you're looking at when something is comparative, you're looking at two things, comparing two things. So say I have two whiteboard markers. They look exactly alike, right? But they really aren't. Let's say I want to compare these two. First of all, when holding them, I can tell that this one is lighter than this one. Lighter doesn't mean that it is lighter of everything, but out of these two, it is the lighter of them. If you want to look why. Yeah. Okay, so I'm using the heavier marker. Heavier describes the marker. ER shows that it is comparing it between two, specifically two. So comparative, write this in your notes if you're taking notes. If not, remember it. Comparative compares two things. Okay? They could be people, they could be places, they could be things, but it's comparing two. That is your big point. Okay? Now, I'll leave this up for a second so people can write that down. Comparative compares two things. Now, erasing this one. Now we have our superlative. I think some of you guys just saw the hidden word or root word in this one. Superlative looks like a really complicated word. What root word do you see inside of it though? Give you a few seconds. Point to it with your finger. If you didn't catch it, it was super. I often like to think of it as like Superman. When we're looking at an adjective and we're making it superlative, we're comparing three or more things. Okay, three or more. So if I had three whiteboard markers, let's look at it differently. I have 3 pens. Three pens here. This is the greenest pen. It's not the greener pen, it's the greenest. That's its superlative form, because out of the 3 of them, it is the most green. Okay? So, now, why do I say this is fun for me to teach? Because when I teach this, I like to talk about it as if we are looking at this green pen as if he is incredible. He is the most. He is the best. He is the most wildly green out of all the green pens that I have. Okay? He's like super pen because he is our superlative adjective. If it is the most out of 3 or more things, then you use the superlative form. So now you may have to watch that part over a few times, but at the end of the day, all you need to remember is this. Let me erase this and give you guys the TLDR version of this. In the TLDR, or too long didn't read, you have 2 things. You have your comparative let me erase this real quick. Maybe I can. Comparative and superlative. Yes, that word is going off the screen. Not much I can do about it right now because this one will not let me zoom out. And yes, you're hearing the pets playing right now. Comparative, 2 things. Superlative, 3 or more. So, comparative adjective is comparing 2 things. The superlative adjective is comparing 3 or more things. Write that down if you need to before we move on to part 3.